Hey everybody, Dan Scott here, and in this video I want to talk about the Antichrist in relationship to a very important question that we all should be asking and seeking knowledge in answering. However, before we can answer, we need to understand the widest concept of AntiChristos, where all 5 occurrences are found in the epistles of 1 and 2 John. However, the concept of AntiChristos found both in the singular and plural is not limited to these 5 verses. And regarding these epistles of 1, 2, 3 John, let me clarify that when these epistles were written, this was during the time of what is termed the pre-expectancy, Ephesians chapter 1 verse 12, which I discuss in my video titled The Pre-Expectation. So the hour specifically here, in the context of the time of the writing of these epistles, the church, better translated out-called, was expecting the return of the Lord in what's termed his parousia, or his presence, which context is the altogether finishing of the eon. So when John writes, it is the last hour, well, the hour is still impending. The last hour accords with the transition from the present eon into the new eon, hence abides into the eon, verse 70. So the point is that we have to understand how to correctly cut the word of truth according to the pre-expectation and the post-expectation. Because the events that will lead from the present heavens and earth into a new involves the unveiling of the AntiChristos, who is the instead laying one, where the hour concerning his unveiling is according to the same hour that the thief comes. So understand, the last hour is in accordance with the last days. Acts 2:17, where also the hour is according to when all in the sepulchres will be awakened in resurrection orders, John 5:28, where the resurrection in the last day involves the last days, when not only Christ will be present in his parousia, but so will AntiChristos, the instead Christ. And although I've discussed this in my video, the last days, understand the word day here that we see, the last days, plural, the last day, singular, involve the concepts surrounding what are termed watch times, where in Psalms chapter 90 verse 4, we read that one watch time, which there are 4 of them, can be deciphered as a day. So go back and watch that video if you don't understand the concept of days as watch time days. Because if we're not understanding watch times, we can't answer the very important question surrounding the unveiling of this one as to what kind of watch time the thief comes. Matthew 24:43. Where again, many take these verses in 1st and 2nd John and think that these are the only references to the Antichrist. However, this is a very limited understanding. It's not what the Word of God reveals. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4, Paul uses the term, which is a verb, antichemai, which is properly rendered instead laying one, where also this verb is found in the plural. So where John uses the noun AntiChristos in the singular and plural, Paul uses the verb antichemai, also in the singular and plural. Where also the same context of AntiChristos and antichema is seen in the phrase the lawless one, also found in singular and plural. And the lawless one is specifically designated as the human of lawlessness, where human is from the Greek anthropos, the human of lawlessness, where of course lawless ones would also be speaking of human beings. Now, the lawless one, singular, is also termed the son of the whole-away loosening, 2 Thessalonians 2:3, also found in John 17:12. And the term whole-away loosening is compared as a hair being plucked out from the head, Luke 21:18. And as the son of the whole-away loosening, the context is the transition between the 3rd and the 4th watch time, where according to the last days, the last Adam will be completed on the 3rd day, or 3rd watch time day, according to the blissful of 3rd watch time, Luke 12:38, where the question proposed regarding the thief's coming is seen in the next verse, verse 39. And those who proceed into the fourth watch time where there is no bliss are wholly loosened away, via the son of the whole away loosening, under the ability of the son of the black redness, or the son of the fourth watch time. So in the last days, this one who is the son of the whole away loosening, the impostor, declaring himself to be God, will cause those who do not faith into the Christ, into the altogether finishing of the eon, to be wholly loosened away, to forfeit Aeonian life, to forfeit a law according allotment into the regency of God. Where here also let me clarify that the lawless one who is called a human, the son of the whole away loosening, is not the same as Satan, diabolos. No, the human of lawlessness, according to his presence, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 9, is according to the inworking of Hellel, Satan, diabolos, with every ability and with signs and wonders of falsification. So the human of lawlessness, the son of the whole away loosening, is not the one named Hellel, who is Satan or diabolos, Isaiah 14:12. And that prepared for diabolos and his angels is the curse of the fourth watch time, Matthew 25:41, which the Old Testament term for the fourth watch time is the black redness, of which Hellel is termed the son of the black redness, where prior to the whole away loosening into the fourth watch time, the son of the whole away loosening will lead them into that curse. So understand, the prophecy of Isaiah concerning Hellel is future. It's the same context of that prepared for diabolos and his angels, Matthew 25:41, where Satan as diabolos or Hellel will be cast out of heaven, where previously the son of the whole away loosening will be manifested as a human being in the ability of Hellel. So understand that all who are according to the spirit of AntiChristos, even present, they are the Antichrists, plural, the instead laying ones, the lawless one. In 1 John chapter 3, verse 8, he writes that the one doing the failance is out of the diabolos, since the diabolos fails from the origin beginning, which origin beginning points back to the birth of Cain, where in verse 10 he compares the children of God to the children of the diabolos, stating in verse 12, not acting according so as Cain, who was out of the evil one, referring to Satan, diabolos. And diabolos is the one with the holding power of the death, and that is what the curse is for those who do not allot Aeonian life into a new eon of a new heavens and earth. They are the ones who stand at his left name side, who will still possess the death, Isaiah 65:20. So indeed, there will be the unveiling of the Antichrist, the lawless one, operating under the headship of his father, Satan, diabolos, Hellel, the son of the black redness, where the human representation of Satan will be the son of the whole away loosening, the antithesis to the Son of God, Jesus Christ. So Antichrist, as the instead laying one, is the being made arrogant one unto all, that is, say, called God or honored, so that as coming into the temple of God, he takes seat there, showing himself that he is God. Meaning showing in demonstrations of signs and wonders of falsification that he is God, when he's the antithesis, the instead God. And let me also point out that the preposition anti or anti is built into many Greek words. Antichristos, Antichrist. Antilethran, translated instead loosening. Antimistia, instead reward. Or antitypos, instead types. And of course, antichomai, the instead laying one or one, expressed in the verb. Where in 1 Timothy 6:20 we read of the antithesis of what is falsely named knowledge, which we could consider to be instead knowledge. Where in colloquial language we understand anti to represent something which is opposing or against. But biblically the context is that which is availed against. due to its being a replacement of something else, instead of. The concept is not always opposed to, but instead of. For example, in Hebrews 9:24, it reads, "For Christ did not come into the places made with hands in the instead types of the true, but into the heavens itself," etc. So here it's not expressing that which is opposing something, but something that was a replacement instead of something. So the concept of Antichristos, Antichrist, is the instead Christ, a replacement of the true Christ, of which people are deeming this one as the Christ, that are saying and calling him God and honoring, so that he is coming into the temple of God, takes his seat there. From Paul's use of the verb antichomai, the instead laying one, the same lawless one, the son of the holaway loosening. Again, operating under the ability of his head, Hillel, Satan, Diabolos, the son of the fourth watchtime, of which there is no bliss. Luke 12:38. Which now brings us to the figure of speech as a thief. Again, seen in Luke 12:39, but also Matthew 24:42, where thief is also to be considered in the concept of singularity and plurality. Whereas I discuss in my video, Open to Us, the context of the courtyard of John chapter 10, verse 1, involves those who will not enter the door of the wedding in the middle of the night, transition between second and third watch time, but the door of the courtyard. So the sheep of the courtyard will be carried through the third watch time in the pasture, verse 9, to also stand at the Lord's right when those who go into the fourth watch time, his left. And the word pasture is only found twice in the New Testament, which defines growth, where Paul's use is according to the growth of gangrene, where of course in relationship to the sheep it is positive growth. The growing in the faithing, 2 Corinthians 10:15. The growth into the safeguarding, 1 Peter 2:2. But the point is that in verse 1, the context of the thief and bandit, although expressed in the singular, thief and bandit, is pointing to many who are not coming in through the door of the courtyard of the sheep in that last hour, who are in the same category as antichrists, instead laying ones, lawless ones. So those who are locked out of the wedding in the middle of the night will find pasture into the completion of the Christ at the finishing of third watch time, where those who do not stand at his right among sheep in the transition of third into fourth are again wholly loosened away. You could say that the sons of the evil one are the sons of the holaway loosening, because it states the thief does not come except that he steals and sacrifices and wholly loosens away, as the antithesis to the Christ who came that they may have Aeonian life and have it abundantly. So where the sheep who stand at his right allot Aeonian life, the goats at his left the Aeonian curse, which is the death, because the one having the holding power of the death, this is the Diabolos. Hebrews chapter 2 verse 14. So as I've said it 100 times, there is no blissful for the fourth watch time, but only a curse. This is the context of Christianity's hell. See my video, you're going to hell. So this is why it's so relevant to understand the watch times, according to the same days as a cipher, which brings me to why I am making this video. Because it's my observation when on various social media sites like YouTube, that there is a ton of discussion concerning the Antichrist, where the questions usually surround who will the Antichrist be, or where will he appear, or is he already here, etc. But the question that I'm not hearing is the question Jesus proposes in Matthew chapter 24, verse 43, in parallel to Luke chapter 12, verse 39. Concerning what kind of watch time and what kind of hour the thief comes, where the watch time and the hour are synonymous. So to be able to answer what kind of watch time is to also be able to answer what kind of hour. But I'm curious as to how many even today can answer what is a watch time. much less what kind of watch time the thief comes. And the consequence for not perceiving in what kind of is dug through. So do you think it's important that we be able to answer these questions and perceive? Because dug through does not sound favorable for those who cannot perceive. And where there's a ton of discussion concerning who is the Antichrist, who will he be, where will he appear, or even is he on the earth at present, there's little to no discussion concerning the watch times. And you who are hearing my voice at present, can you answer what kind of watch time? What kind of hour? What about what kind of day the Lord comes? Matthew 24:42, which we now can answer this question as well, because the Word of God has been completed into us. Colossians 1:25. And although Jesus said to his audience, you do not perceive in what kind of day your Lord comes, they could perceive in what kind of watch time the thief comes. Or he wouldn't have said, so if the watering mighty one of the dwelling had perceived. The watch times were not a mystery, because Isaiah prophesied concerning the son of the fourth watch time, where again the cipher of days in relationship to the watch times is seen in Psalms 94, which Old Testament term for the watch times is the begard times of the night, where specifically the fourth watch time termed the black redness is found 25 times in the Old Testament. Just like here in Isaiah 14:12, the son of the fourth watch time. Which I'll add, the fourth watch time is not the answer to the question as to what kind of watch time the thief comes. Which again is the same hour of Luke 12:39, which I discuss in more detail in my video called What Kind of Hour? Where also, according to my calculations in my video The Last Days, the unveiling of the instead laying one in relationship to the watch times will be in this decade. So the point of this video in relationship to Antichrist, the instead laying one, etc., is for you to stop asking the wrong questions. Because who the Antichrist will be or where he will appear, etc., etc., is irrelevant to the question as to what kind of watch time he will become unveiled in his term. Where knowing the answers and being prepared, watching, and ready prevents the dug through, according to the events that will unfold in the last days, of which we all will be participating in, whether favorably or unfavorably, which the dug through is not favorable. However, the surround of the safeguarding is favorable. Where let me close by saying the phrase watering mighty one of the dwelling here in Luke 12:39 literally means whom it is binding to water, or to give drink to the dwelling, where those who are slipped into the all armor and possess the sword of the Spirit possess the talk of God, of which we are hallowed in the bath of the water in talk, rhema. So for those who it is binding to speak the word settings of God in the talk of God, give drink to the outcalled. Paul stated, I planted, Apollos watered, but God made it grow. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 6. So Apollos was a watering mighty one of the dwelling, giving drink to the outcalled as one speaking the word settings or the word correspondings of God, that the outcalled, her, may be hallowed in the bath of the water in talk, to give drink, to give water. So if the watering mighty one of the dwelling had perceived in what kind of watch time / hour the thief comes, he would watch and would not, as it were, permit his dwelling site to be dug through.